10 years ago, One Life, One Chance Ministries was born. However, its beginnings started back in '93 with Stony Creek. It took God's leading and a very large learning curve to understand how our helping wouldn't hurt, how it is important to come alongside the local Indigenous church and support their efforts as God was leading these pastors. In the early days, the ministry and trips were so different. The staff was much larger and the teams involved up to 100 people at a time. There was no cook, it was just us. And it was done on the road as we drove from Canada to Mexico, often with a caravan of vehicles and lots of prayer. However, it was good, and God used those moments to allow for hours of discussion as we drove through the night. Without those times, I would never have had the defining trip with Brenda Ferrier and Phil Hills. It was the accumulation of years of middle-of-the-night conversations and honed it into something more. We learned that helping can hurt without something that supports the local church. Also, short-term missions can have a place in global change. Those who go on these trips are different when they come back. It has ripples that not many people measure. Churches back home in Canada and the United States are changed too. Over and over, we see how the Lord uses short-term missions to catapult lives into something bigger. Whether it be at home or abroad, it's always about God's church, not our church. And that is why this synergy works. The life-changing La Paloma trip with the local Christian school changed everything. I came home broken and filled with tears for those who had nothing, those that had no hope. I was on fire to come behind the real champions of God's movement, the local Indigenous church. Shortly after, we gathered with our friends, peers, and wise counsel. We brought together people with a common interest of accountability. Amazingly, everybody I called showed up, and it filled the back deck of our house with couples that wanted more. Today, many of those same people are still on the board of One Life, 10 years later. It's amazing God uses the willing and those with a heart for Him to bring unity to His kingdom. It took 24 years to learn that the most important thing that we do is to be a conduit of neutrality, not only with the church abroad, but also with the church back home. The monthly ministerial that Arturo and Heather lead needs to be on all of our prayer lists. God is moving so fast, and we are just fortunate to be part of that journey for such a time as this. Looking forward, the board of One Life desires to multiply what is already happening in the San Quintin Valley. Drawing from the local Indigenous church, leverage what we have learned to create unity in other villages, towns, and the nation of Mexico. Eventually using that same model to reach out across the globe, just as Christ asked us in Mark 6, verse 15. It's going to be a lofty goal, but it took Brenda and I a lifetime to learn that it takes all of us to fulfill His work, and that is why we need your help today.